Why are you here? You said you had to work today. I found myself muttering this, surprised to see my husband where he shouldn't be. Right now, I'm at the City Hall's health department. I came here to submit our newborn child's birth certificate. My husband, who had promised to submit it with me, said a sudden work obligation came up and didn't show. So he shouldn't be here. While the clerk was checking if there were any errors in the birth certificate, I couldn't take my eyes off my husband. Perhaps because it's early in the morning, there aren't many other customers? Because of this, I could clearly hear my husband's voice at a counter a short distance away. Although hidden from view by my husband, it seems like there's a woman right next to him. I saw the clerk handing over a small booklet. "Thank you for registering for the program aimed at pregnant women." I gasped. I began to suspect my husband might be having an affair with this woman. After all, the only men who normally accompany women to these programs are their husbands. Perhaps the father of the unborn child might accompany, but the woman and my husband didn't seem to have an age gap big enough to be father and daughter. My husband doesn't have sisters, so the possibility of her being a relative seemed unlikely.
"Our first child is due next year. Oh, I can hardly wait."
My husband said this with a smile. Then, what about the child I struggled to give birth to? My name is Amelia. I'm 37 years old. I handle secretarial and miscellaneous tasks at the company run by my husband Nolan, who is 3 years my senior. Nolan and I met almost a decade ago and started dating. Back then, Nolan was just a regular employee at a corporation, as was I. But after Nolan proposed, I left my job at his request. The reason I resigned from the company was because of Nolan's wish.
"I'm thinking of starting my own company. I want you to quit your current job and help me with mine. I want you to support me in both my personal and professional life. Will you marry me?"
The idea of starting a business, asking me to leave my job, and proposing marriage, it was all so overwhelming, but I loved Nolan, so I agreed to everything. Understood, I'll support Nolan with all my strength. Nolan often talked about wanting to start a business, so I somewhat anticipated this future.
"Amelia, thank you. I knew you would say that."
Nolan was overjoyed, and so we got married and I left the company I had been with since graduating college to help with Nolan's business. We worked tirelessly together to get the company off the ground. Initially, Nolan frequently expressed gratitude to me, but gradually, he began to adopt a condescending attitude.
"I'm taking care of you. I'm providing for you and giving you a job. You should be more grateful."
He started making such patronizing comments and looked down on me. Yet I couldn't bring myself to dislike him, as he was once the man I loved, so I just endured it.
"The company's finally stable, so let's think about having kids. You're getting close to 35 after all."
We began considering children, but after a year of trying without success, we started visiting a fertility clinic. It was tough, but at 37, I finally got pregnant. Nolan fully cooperated with the fertility treatment, and we both worked hard at it, so when I found out I was pregnant, I was truly overjoyed. Nolan was also very happy about it.
"Yes, we're finally going to have a baby."
Nolan was moved to tears. Then he began to express more concern for me, saying,
"You must not overdo it until the trimester of stability."
Nolan's attitude softened a bit, almost returning to his old self, which made me happy, and I savored our happiness. Morning sickness was tough, but Nolan, despite being inexperienced, did his best to cook for me, helping me through it. As a baby in my belly grew healthy one day, Nolan suddenly said something unbelievable. Nolan was also very happy about it.
"You know, with advanced maternal age, there's a higher chance of having a child with disabilities. Maybe we should not go through with a pregnancy."
I couldn't believe my ears at his sudden suggestion. What? What did you just say?
"I mean, since advanced maternal age is risky, let's give up on having the child."
I felt a surge of anger at Nolan's words. How can you say that all of a sudden? This child is alive. We can't just give up on it. What do you think a life is? Stop joking around. When I shouted, Nolan fell silent and stopped speaking. In my anger, I didn't speak to Nolan for the rest of the day and stayed in my room. The next day, Nolan said,
"Sorry about yesterday,"
but it felt insincere. Even though he was so happy when I got pregnant, I wondered why his attitude changed so suddenly. Gradually, Nolan started treating me coldly again, and the condescending remarks returned.
"Don't take advantage of being pregnant. Do your job properly. If you slack off, I won't stand for it."
I know I have never slacked off. I said this while inwardly sighing heavily. But I believed that once a baby was born, Nolan would become kind again, so I kept pushing through each day. I often consulted with my parents and brother about Nolan and shared my problems with them. Then, a few days after my due date, I finally went into labor and asked Nolan to drive me to the hospital. Nolan, the contractions are getting closer. Please drive me to the hospital. I asked Nolan while enduring the pain, but he looked annoyed.
Oh, it's such a hassle. I'll call a taxi for you. Just take that.
I was shocked as I had assumed Nolan would drive me himself. What? Really? Okay, a taxi is fine, but you're coming with me, right?
Huh? I have urgent work, so no way. It doesn't make a difference whether I'm there or not. I'm not interested in being there for the birth anyway. Just wait, I'll call a taxi for you.
I was saddened by Nolan's attitude, but the pain of the contractions soon became overwhelming. I went to the hospital alone by taxi and eventually gave birth to a healthy baby boy. However, Nolan didn't show up for the birth, during my hospital stay, or even at my discharge. After leaving the hospital, I went back to my parents' house for postpartum support. My parents and brother doted on the baby and took great care of me. I was supposed to have Nolan submit the birth certificate, but this morning he said he had work and didn't come. In the background of the phone call, I could hear what sounded like announcements from a shopping mall or something similar, so he was probably lying. But even if I pointed that out now, he probably wouldn't come anyway. But pointing that out wouldn't make him come, so I decided to go myself with my parents to the local health bureau. When I submitted the birth certificate, the health bureau official smiled warmly, congratulated me, and gave me various informational materials and keepsakes. As I was about to leave with these items, I unbelievably spotted Nolan. He was with a young woman registering for a program for pregnant women. Nolan? What? Why? I muttered in shock, and there Nolan was, cheerfully telling the city hall staff,
Our first child is due next year.
What? What does this mean? I was in a state of confusion, but soon realized that Nolan must have been cheating. Realizing that Nolan's cold attitude was due to his affair, I prepared divorce papers online and immediately filled in my part. Nolan and the young woman, having finished registration for the program for pregnant women, started walking towards the exit. I decided to confront them and gently tap Nolan's shoulder. He turned around, caught sight of me, and showed a look of shock.
Amelia? But why? How?
Why? Because you broke your promise to submit the birth certificate, so I came to do it? What's going on? Who is this woman? You're registering for a program for pregnant women, weren't you? Explain this. Despite my effort to stay calm, I couldn't help but confront him emotionally. Nolan, looking evasive, stuttered, answer me. What are you doing leaving me and the baby alone like this? As I yelled, Nolan froze for a few seconds before retorting defiantly.
Huh. I've found true love. This girl is much younger than you, only 24. Met her at a bar, you know, the one near the station we went to a few times.
Then a young woman with a vulgar smile said, Hi, I'm Yolanda. I've heard about you, but wow, you really are a plain old lady. Hilarious. Trembling with anger, I asked Nolan, is she really pregnant with your child?
Yes, unlike you. Yolanda got pregnant naturally. We spent so much on fertility treatments because you couldn't get pregnant. Yolanda is superior to you as a woman. You're just defective as a woman.
Nolan laughed as he hurled these hurtful words at me. Exactly, I'm better than you as a woman. I'm younger and cuter, and I got pregnant naturally and more suitable to be the wife of a rich man like Nolan. Yolanda joined Nolan in belittling me. And don't you wear too little makeup? Even if you just had a baby, you should take more care of your appearance, especially with that plain face of yours. Huh. Yolanda kept hurling insults at me, taking advantage of my silence.
Obviously, a child born to a young woman is healthier and definitely cuter than one born to an old one. Amelia, you're just useless now.
Nolan laughed heartily as if he found it genuinely funny. His words made it clear why he suddenly became cold during my pregnancy. The young woman, his mistress Yolanda, must have gotten pregnant, so he no longer needed to focus on our baby. That's why he abruptly suggested giving up on the birth. It was despicable. I felt my feelings for Nolan cooling off completely. Then I handed him the divorce papers. Please divorce me. I've already filled in my part. Nolan looked surprised for a moment, but then started laughing.
Nice preparation. I'll sign it right now.
Nolan quickly scribbled his signature and handed it back to me.
There you go. You file it. Honestly, you have become even more like an old lady after pregnancy and childbirth. That's pathetic compared to Yolanda. Women should always be young.
That's none of your business. Goodbye. I'll come home later to pick up my things, and obviously I won't ever help with the company again.
Don't need your help anyway. I can handle everything as a president. Don't flatter yourself, idiot.
I see. Then I'll go. File these divorce papers. After saying this, I submitted the divorce application. Yolanda looking triumphant until the end said, pathetic old lady. Sorry for winning because I'm cute. Nolan and Yolanda left City Hall, ostentatiously close to each other. I immediately called my brother to tell him about what just happened. Then I went home with my brother and he helped me pack up my belongings. Since I had gone to my parents' house for postpartum support, I had sent only the essentials there. However, naturally, there were still many of my things left at the house. After packing, I returned to my parents' house with my brother. My family, who had been aware of the situation with Nolan, comforted me. My brother said to me,
Sis, you did the right thing, divorcing that guy.
My parents also smiled and said, you have really been through a lot. Let's raise the child together from now on. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry for worrying you. I appreciate your help moving forward. I was able to enjoy my days while struggling with the challenges of first-time parenting. My son was adorable, and though I now detest Nolan, I'm grateful to him for the chance to meet my son. My son was showered with love from me, my parents, and my brother growing up healthily. Then 3 months passed in a flash. Suddenly, Nolan appeared at my parents' house. Reluctantly, I decided to deal with him at the entrance. What do you want, showing up out of the blue?
Hey, Amelia, come back home and help out at the company again.
Nolan stated bluntly and coldly. What? Oh, I see. The company's not doing well, is it?
Yes, ever since you quit, our clients don't want to deal with us. Because of that, the company's in trouble.
Nolan exclaimed. Indeed, the company's success had always been due to me. I had been desperately keeping the company afloat by negotiating everywhere, so it had been stable until now. Nolan, acting arrogant as a president, just dumped work on me and actually had no talent for management. So after we divorced and I stopped helping, the company's management probably plummeted. Oh, when filing for divorce, you said that everything would be fine as long as you, the president, were there. It's laughable that the company faltered so quickly without me.
Shut up.
Nolan shouted, frustrated.
Everyone's saying they can't deal with me. They all say Amelia was better and more competent. What the hell, even though I'm the president?
That's because you never took work seriously. You always dumped everything on me, even when I was pregnant. I said coldly, and Nolan groaned. Your mistress, Yolanda, was it? Why not ask her for help?
Yolanda left as soon as the company started to falter.
I couldn't help but burst out laughing.
Stop laughing. Turns out Yolanda only liked me because I was a rich president. When things got financially tough, she took the child and left. She's the worst, just after the money, damn it.
Nolan spat out hatefully, then suddenly started pleading in a whiny voice.
Look, I really only need you, Amelia. Come back home. If you come back to the company, I think we can turn things around. Everyone says they listen to you. I need you, Amelia, please. I'll apologize for everything.
Don't just say whatever is convenient for you. There's no way I'm coming back. I don't care about the company. You're the president, so you figure it out and stop with that disgusting pleading voice. I firmly refused.
Don't be like that. Bring the child too. By the way, what's the gender again? A girl, right?
I sighed heavily. I had already texted him the gender at birth, but Nolan couldn't even remember that. You are really the worst. No matter what you say, I'm not coming back and I won't let you see the child. Also, I'll soon be claiming alimony from you and Yolanda in the divorce court.
What? Compensation in the divorce court? What do you mean by compensation in the divorce court?
Nolan exclaimed in disbelief. Why are you surprised? It's natural to claim compensation for a divorce caused by infidelity. I've been busy with a newborn, but still managed to hire a lawyer and the process is already underway. I'll be filing the claim soon.
Wait a minute. Compensation? In the divorce court? I'm in trouble with the company right now and my savings are nearly gone.
That's not my problem. I have the right to claim compensation in the divorce court. If you're going to fuss about it, I'll also claim child support, okay? Nolan, looking like he wanted to say something, just opened and closed his mouth. I didn't claim child support because I didn't want you involved with our child, and I had no intention to. But I was advised by my lawyer that child support is a right for the child, so I've decided to claim it. If you keep fuzzing, maybe I should ask for it all at once. That way there's no risk of you stopping payments midway.
Hey, that's impossible. Please don't make those claims.
Noah pleaded, sweating profusely. Then please leave. I'll contact you later about the compensation in the divorce court. After saying that, I closed the front door. Then I filed a claim against Yolanda for compensation in the divorce court using a notarized document. While investigating Yolanda, I visited the bar where they met, a familiar place to me and where I knew the manager. It was a familiar bar that I also frequented, and I knew the manager. After explaining the situation, the manager told me about Yolanda, who was a regular. Yolanda seemed to be a regular customer there. She often got drunk at the bar, and the manager had to take her home a few times. Knowing her workplace, I gathered a lot of information about Yolanda. I filed claims for compensation in the divorce court against both Nolan and Yolanda, but they both resisted and showed no signs of paying, so I visited a law firm and asked the lawyer to intervene. My lawyer, Miles, was very sincere and capable, so the claim for compensation in the divorce court was smoothly settled. As we met often for meetings, Miles and I gradually became attracted to each other and eventually started dating. Yolanda, somehow finding out that Miles and I were dating, tried to steal him from me. I heard from Miles that she went to his law office and made a passionate approach. "Hey, lawyer, why don't you switch to someone younger and cuter than that old lady? I'm much better, you know." Apparently, she said this in a flirtatious voice, but Miles replied,
"I'm not interested in women like you, and Amelia is not an old lady. She's far more wonderful than you. If you're just teasing, please leave."
Confused by Miles' cold response, Yolanda muttered, "Why, I thought I could easily take him away like I did with Nolan, losing to such an old lady," and left the law office with shaky steps. Afterwards, many City Hall staff and visitor had witnessed the altercation between me and Nolan, so the rumors about Nolan and Yolanda quickly spread. The rumors continued, and especially for Nolan being a company president, it remained a hot topic. His reputation spread quickly among his business contacts, and unable to receive any support and having to pay me the compensation, his funds depleted, leading to his business closure. Yolanda, apparently upset about losing to me, continued to obsess over Miles and frequently visited his law office. Miles consistently rejected her advances, but Yolanda cried out, "I can't stand losing to such an old lady. Choose me." Due to her persistence, she was eventually banned from the law office and even had the police called on her. Shockingly, it turned out that the child Yolanda had was not Nolan's. She had been involved with multiple men and got pregnant without knowing the father's identity. Desperate to marry wealthy Nolan, she claimed the child was his. Nolan was outraged.
"I was deceived. I left Amelia and my child because Yolanda said she was pregnant with mine. This is outrageous. How can she do this to my life?"
Nolan and Yolanda are currently embroiled in a complicated legal battle. Meanwhile, I got remarried to Miles. Miles proposed to me, saying,
"Amelia, I promise to make both you and your child absolutely happy."
My parents and brother fully supported and endorsed Miles' sincere personality. Blessed by everyone, we started our married life. Soon after our marriage, Miles got transferred, and my son and I decided to move with him. In this new place, while busy with household chores and parenting, I am living a happy life with my kind husband and adorable son.